Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and all of a sudden I woke up today. Well, that obviously isn't really a surprise. I'm supposed to do that kind of shit. I actually saw this new beta balance update number 8, December 5th, 2012, on battle.net, and it turns out they actually released a huge patch for Heart of the Swarm, changing a lot of stuff around that they actually announced earlier. So let's just quickly go over all the stuff that they changed. First of all, we got Deterrence. The medevac got a new ability called Emergency Thrusters. Speed boost that increases movement speed and acceleration to 4.25 for 8 seconds with a 20-second cooldown. Now, at the moment, all Terran players are mostly going mech. Pretty much all of them are going mech, so this is a pretty huge buff to, of course, bioplay, because bioplay is gonna get a lot easier to drop around with, having this emergency thruster ability. Next up, we have the Medevac's Caduceus reactor upgrade at the Starport Tech Lab. The health restored per second now goes from 9 to 15. The energy cost reduced from 3 health per 1 energy to 5 health per 1 energy. And the cost increased a little bit, as well as the time for recharging also increased a little bit. This is actually a huge upgrade and a huge buff to bioplay as a Terran player, which is gonna be a lot more viable right now. Dropping at like 6 places at once while moving out with your main army is going to be a really strong thing when it comes to Terran play. Next up, we have the Reaper. The Reaper have their base speed increased by quite a lot, and they also have their upgraded speed increased by quite a bunch as well. This combined, of course, with the health regeneration that they now have in Heart of the Swarm, it's going to be a really interesting unit how this is going to be played out. However, I don't think it will be used all that much, only in the early game for scouting and whatnot. Next up, we have the Widow Mine. It no longer hits cloak units, well duh. It has a new upgrade as well, called Drilling Claws. And the Drilling Claws upgrade decreases the burrow time from 3 to 1 second on the Widow Mine, and it requires a tech lab, an armory, and it costs 150, and it does 110 seconds research time. This is quite a nice ability. I think it will actually give you a little bit more depth to the actual Widow Mine, and it will just improve the gameplay a little tiny bit, I think. Next up, we have the Thor. The 250mm strike cannons has been removed. The Thor can now switch between 2 modes, high impact payload and explosive payload. And this mode shift takes about 4 seconds, so you can't be doing it really in battle. When in high impact payload mode, the Thor switches to a different anti-air gun that has 10 range and deals 24 flat damage, so that's going to be awesome for dealing with the Mutalisks that we will talk about in a little bit. The Thor radius, the inner radius and separation radius increased from 0.8 stuff to 1. So a little bit of a buff to the Thor, I guess, as far as anti-air goes, because it will be a lot stronger right now versus Mutalisk and maybe versus some, I don't know, do Protosses still go air versus Terrans? I don't really know. So next up we have the Hellbat. The Hellbat's splash damage radius has been increased from 90 to 110. And the armory now is only 1 weapon and 1 armor upgrade for both air and ground upgrades for both the factory and the starport units. So this is a pretty huge thing actually. All in all, Terrans got some pretty nice buffs right there. They are actually changing the Terrans in quite a nice way. I'm really liking that. However, they got a pretty big nerf by only having 1 armor and weapon upgrade, where of course they have 3 at the moment. So this it's going to be interesting how this is all going to be working out. So here we go, the Protoss changes. The mothership recall now functions as it does with the mothership core. Well, of course, this is awesome. The Vortex now kills a single unit, which makes the Vortex completely stupid, especially because it doesn't affect massive units anymore. So the Vortex is not something that will be used anymore. Actually, in general, I don't think the mothership will be used in professional play at all any longer. However, the mothership core is no longer massive, which means that the mothership is massive at the moment, but, you know, I don't think the mothership will be used all that much. Instead, people will actually start using the mothership core. Next up, we have the Oracle, the Pulsar Beam, now called Activate Pulsar Beam and Deactivate Pulsar Beam. Well, what is just obvious. And when activated, the Oracle's Pulsar Beam is enabled. Oh my god. The weapon deals 15 plus 10 to light. The weapon period changed to 0.86, down from 1. The weapon range reduced to 4, energy drain is now 4 per second. So it's kind of hard to tell actually if this is a nerf at all. Or a buff, because first as Zerg, you don't really use the Oracle all that much, so I'm interested how that is going to change out. However, I don't think it will have a huge impact on the game. Next up, we have the Fenix. The Fenix range has increased from 4 to 5, and the upgrade still grants +2 range. Of course, this is in reaction to the Mutalisk change that we will talk about in a little bit. The Dark Shrine cost is now 100, down from 100 minerals and 250 gas. This is actually a huge interesting thing, because you will probably be able to rush to Dark Templar really early on right now, and it will be a pretty strong stuff, especially in the lower leagues where people don't actually have solid build orders to counter that sort of thing. The Tempest now requires a fleet beacon. It attacks with 2 weapons. The primary weapon, the Kinetic Overlord, hits air units and remains unchanged. The secondary weapons, Resonance Coil, hits ground units and does not deal bonus damage to massive units. So this is important for the Ultralisk. The Ultralisk actually also got a buff that we will talk about in a little bit. And of course this thing will actually probably be a pretty big nerf to the Tempest, which makes the Ultralisk quite a bit more viable. The build time is now 60, down from 75, so you'll be able to mess them a little bit easier. Also, the Void Ray, the Prismatic Beam, is no longer charging up. The weapon period decreased from 0.6 to 0.5, and no longer does bonus to massive damage. There we go. And we have the Prismatic Alignment, which is a new ability to the Void Ray, which increases damage to armored units for by 6 for 20 seconds with a 1 minute cooldown that does not scale with upgrades. So this is going to be a pretty interesting change. It will be quite a big nerf versus Zerg, I imagine. Next up we have the Zerg change, and of course this is the one thing that most of my viewers will probably be interested about, which is the Hydralisk speed upgrade will now require Lair instead of Hive, which is a really exciting thing because you will now be able to do some Hydralisk Zergling timing attacks with speed Hydralisk, of course, because you will now be able to get it up at the Lair tech of things instead of the Hive tech. The Mutalisk got a speed buff from 375 to 4, and the acceleration is still the same. So this is a little bit of a speed buff to the Mutalisk. Of course, the Phoenixes got a range upgrade, which will make them a lot more effective versus Mutalisk. The Swarm Host health got increased from 120 to 160. I don't think that will make any kind of difference because they die so very quickly anyway. The Infestor Fungal Growth is now a projectile. The speed of the projectile is 10, and the range from Fungal is now 8. So quite a big nerf right there to the Infestor, and even more because the Infestor Terran no longer gain weapon and armor upgrades, and they also have reduced health. The Ultralisk Burrow charge has been removed, however the damage has been buffed from 15 plus 20 to armored to 35 flat damage, which is actually crazy because they attack really fast. Also, the Viper health has been increased from 120 to 150. So all in all, I think those changes are absolutely awesome. Instead of nerfing everything like they did with Wings of Liberty in the beta, they actually buffed pretty much all the units, which just makes up for more imbalanced units and more exciting games in general. So I am really excited. I am really excited for the changes. I hope you guys are as well. I'm going to be really interested how it's going to be working out, especially the bioplay of Deterrence versus Zerg, and how these Zergs are gonna come up with some nice Hydralisk timing pushes, which might be pretty good actually against the Terran players with like Roach, Hydra, Ling, Baneling. However, going to be interested how that is going to be working out. So I want to thank you guys all for watching. Have an awesome day. Do not forget to smile today, and I see you again. Bye!